So we can just post it on, so then people can, that'd be great. So you see people are kind of at our guinea pigs to help us get over the part and it'll be available. So, but part of that will be, I'm gonna present facing this way a little bit so that the recording is not completely my screen face. It's a little intimidating. I'm gonna get rid of the program. You can introduce.
Hi, this is Amy.
You're so formal.
Informal. My name is Rob Dotson. I'm the city manager of Enoch City. This is my second home. Welcome into my home. And you're always welcome into my home, and there's always cold water. If not, it's warm. We appreciate a group of individuals who have special skills, special knowledge, special understanding of how we as human beings function here on the earth together. These individuals have reached out in various situations when crisis and trauma has happened, and have helped so many people in our community and elsewhere. One of these people is Amy Nielson, who owns PB&J Consulting. Yes, peanut butter and jelly. That's not PB and H and honey. That's my thing. It's my jam. Wait, that doesn't work.
Jam.
Jam, I know. But Amy's and others have so graciously been inspired to help our community in this situation. And you being here is completely amazing, is completely, I just say, courageous to come out and to seek information, because information is key to our health, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, physical, whatever. It's key to our health. So thank you so much for coming. Listen close. You're going to gain some extremely valuable information. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you.
Okay. Do you want to bring up the website? All right, I did not do handouts for this because with the intention of recording it, but what we've done is put like the handouts that we would have done as links on the website, so it becomes accessible to everyone at any time. And you don't have to track some sort of piece of paper that most of them will probably get lost in the rain between here. So you use them as a hat on your way to your car and then it's gone. Anyways, but I wanted to make it really easily accessible to everyone at any time. And obviously, since we're recording this and hopefully getting this spread around so other people have access to it, we need something, a way to do it that anybody can access the information anytime. So my kind husband, who has maneuvered our website for years and been fastly working, putting the pieces together as quick as he can. Yeah, that would be great.
You don't need to see it.
Well, I can see.
We can help him get it, like we can, but yes, it makes more sense to turn it.
You can disrupt. You can disrupt your whole presentation. Okay.
Well, this time you're over there.
Can you do that? Okay. Well, I won't be in the picture. Okay. No, it's still, the camera's still facing. We're all right. Anyways. Like any video I've ever done, there's always awkward and technical stuff that we have to wipe out through the beginning and then we get going. Anyway, my sweet husband has been putting these links up and we'll get them refined and we'll continue to add to these resources over time as we continue to build those up. So please feel free, like whether on your phone now or whatever, on your computer, whatever, you can go to our website and it's right, all the stuff is right on our landing page. So you don't have to go hunting for any of it. This is like the main page. And here's the added the links right there on the landing page, so easy to find. All right, will you go to the adult resources? My agenda is on my phone. So we're going to talk about, we're here, we're about, 10 days or so past this major event of losing the Haight family here in Enoch. And in those first days, we posted some videos and different things, and people have probably been looking up things about coping and what this is like, but trauma is hard on the body. It is a very challenging experience physically, obviously mentally, emotionally. And in those phases, in counseling in this realm, we call that acute stress. Okay, and I've had a lot of people ask, and calls coming and stuff like that. Do I have PTSD? I'm feeling this way. Do I have PTSD? At this stage, we don't diagnose PTSD. We don't even diagnose that because this was a major event and it happened just recently. Of course, your body is going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to been having those strong physical reactions to the overwhelm and the disturbing ideas and images and events that were there, and your body's reacting to what your mind is seeing, what your beliefs and expressions are to it. All of these things are going on, and that can be very physically intense. These are things that struck to the core of what we feel is safe, right? And this was a home, this was a family. And so for both adults and children, these ideas nail that safety part of our brain, those safety mechanisms, and those safety mechanisms in your mind trigger your body into that fight, flight, or freeze mode in order for it to protect itself. And so through these weeks, you've probably gone through either a sustained period or waves of these physical surges hitting your body in the nature of kind of tucking in and protecting and seeking, wanting to seek safety. Okay, and that could have looked in many different forms. Obviously, tearfulness, wakefulness, shaking, tension, waves of sensations of fear, waves of overwhelm, obviously lots of self-doubt and concern for family. I mean, it can show up in many different ways, but all of those can be very intense and very powerful when they're still very normal and healthy stress responses of the body because it's trying to take care of itself. I talk with people all the time, right? We have this midbrain, and its job is to take care of and make sure your body stays alive. And then we have this outer brain where all of your skills and tools and knowledge are. And so if this hit to that core safety thing, that midbrain, it's running the show. It can trump anything, anytime. Okay, it is like in control. Well, a long time in control. There's our hopes by the end of today. We've learned more tools and techniques to get that outer brain to get a little control there. But that midbrain, it's firing and it's taking care of you. And that is very normal and healthy that that's happening. So here's our acute stress. As we get further and further away from the event, we don't have as many elements in front of us happening around us. Talking about it is happening a little less and less. And so we have maybe less triggers or things that would surge that up. And we should see a continual reduction of those waves of responses happening in your body. You're having less stimulus come up into your eyes and mind and experience, and so your body will get further and further away from having those physical reactions. So it may still come in waves, it could still come in powerful ways, but we should see those waves getting a little smaller and getting further apart. And if that's the case, then your body's like moving and doing what it needs to do and processing what it needs to process, still challenging, still uncomfortable, and that can happen for some time. You could even have something happen months down the road and still get a wave of that to work on and process. And all that's really normal for a situation of this magnitude, and really any trauma of many magnitudes, but very common for something of this magnitude. So we want to see those waves dispersing, getting lower, feeling more manageable. But this is why we're here to talk tonight, because now we're a little ways away. Hopefully we are seeing some reduction in those symptoms, but let's talk about what it looks like if we're not seeing that happen. If the waves are not abating, they're not getting further. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily look exactly like that either. Okay, like I'm describing something, but I want to also we'll describe to the best of our ability, but I still really encourage you to allow space to go into yourself and am I functioning as I desire to function? Am I functioning as myself? Am I functioning as I was prior to the event happening? And that's going to be something we have to ask ourselves throughout time for a long time. Okay, so you completely locked to all the things that Amy's saying right now. We're doing the best we can, bringing enough knowledge, but hopefully not so much knowledge that we overwhelm your mind. So we're just going to pick a few things here to target. So Because I want to differentiate between that initial acute stress that can happen and concerns for PTSD, because that's right here, fears and worries and concerns. Am I going to get PTSD? Is this going to, turn me into a big mess and mess up my life and all those things? And PTSD doesn't do that to everybody's life. For one, I can really get that concern. Lots of people walk around with PTSD all the time and they don't even realize that's what's going on, yet they function very well in their lives. But we're here to educate so that you become more aware. And if those are things that are happening for you, we have some amazing providers. We have an amazing set of tools and skill sets. We can address those things, and so that you can return to your full functioning. So let's take a look at what some of the signs and symptoms of trauma are. If you would click on that. Yeah. Okay, so some of these you may have all had over the last week. Okay, flashbacks. So we may not have witnessed the actual event. I mean, some of you witnessed things that were hard, police lights, helicopters. I know, we're in that neighborhood, and my husband and I played a week until one, well, maybe all night, but for those first hours, we really had helicopters flying over, and so I may not have seen that, but I can tell you, ever since that has happened, and some of you are aware of our area, right? We have the helicopter school and everything, so we're always flying over. And I don't know if you guys have done this, but every time I heard one, my brain is tracking them again. I stopped tracking them. It's like a white noise. Now my brain is tracking it again. And I hear that and my energy goes up. Okay, so for me, that would be a form of a flashback. My brain's going back to that night when that helicopter was flying low. And my body was going through the waves of, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this, and the pain and the stress of that event on me. So that would be kind of an example of a flashback. When these things happen again, it's like, since you're not seeing it, we'll build story in our mind, trying to picture, like, what is this thing? And it's a normal, natural thing you do to try to organize and make sense. And so our brain tries to put these pieces together from what you hear on the news and what's out on social media, people talking, and even just your own brain formulating something. And so then we'll have images like that in our mind. Whether they were accurate or not, they were real in our brain. And your brain will look at that image and it will have a response to that image. And usually they're disturbing. And these are not comfortable images for creating. The trauma was very disturbing trauma. And so that can be flashbacks. Okay, we can have intrusive thoughts going about our day, managing the things we need, and having thoughts and ideas pushing in, and you want to put them aside. I've caught myself over the last couple of weeks. I try to read every morning when I'm writing my recumbent life. That's when I study and do things. And my mind wandering off into questions and wonders, and or even being jolted by like what if, and even thoughts of safety. Like I felt okay with safety, but I know talking with kids and talking with some youth, that has really been striking them really hard. Am I safe? Is this, like, can this happen in my home? And so you can have a thought like this, sweep in and push in. And these kiddos are trying to do school, right? They're trying to learn math and go to recess and trying to figure out science, and having this wave of thought kind of this, could something happen to me? I'm going to be safe in my home. Okay, so that would be kind of an example of intrusive thoughts. Obviously, nightmares, you know what nightmares are. And many of us, I'm sure many of all of us, struggle to sleep in general over the last few weeks, whether it's we couldn't fall asleep, or you're asleep and you wake up. You might wake up feeling distressed, or you just might wake up late and your body's just like that. But we might wake up to nightmares. We might feel distressed. You might even know what your nightmare was, but you wake up feeling that wave of discomfort. Okay, so that can be a commonness. I already described the wakefulness. The distress, that real or perceived reminders of the trauma. So if I was talking about maybe we built the stories or ideas at while that was going on, our brain was tracking that we had these images and ideas, or real images and ideas out here. And your brain was noticing how your body felt during all that, and it puts the pieces together. Okay, and so then we might be re-exposed to a smell or a sound, like I described with the helicopter. We hear that, that's like a real sound, but it's not real danger. It wasn't really the event, but my brain would put that together with this is not okay. Remember that night of hearing the helicopter and feeling that utter sadness and grief that was going on, and it put those together. And so it's a perceived danger. It's not, I'm not in danger sitting in my home with one of the school helicopters flying over and perceiving a danger. Physical distress or distressing sensations. Okay, we can even just I mean, everything is like triggers in our body and it is sensations related. As I work with people over the years, sometimes it's not even necessarily something out here that is triggering their body. Their own body could have a distress and trigger more distress compounded upon it. Now, of course, you could have a trigger out here and it triggers distress. And you might not even be aware of what the trigger out here that your brain or your senses picked up on that started moving your body into that fight, flight, or freeze sensations. Okay, and I listed here the different ones: racing heart, breathlessness, sweat, tension, tingling, trembling, nausea. There could be also a plethora of many other things. Every time you know the body kind of tucks in and takes care of itself, or puffs up and goes into different ones. Either way, but what I wanted to, the reason why I wanted to talk about ones that come from inside is it was happening a little bit in my home, and it was something that made me think about it. We've had some colds, and my husband even brought up, you know, that he was waking up in distress, and his body's putting together that he was struggling to breathe because of his cold, as well as feeling in distress about everything that was going on, and then that was spinning around himself, and so now his body's trying to navigate sensation. Some of them are trauma related, and some of them are just that we have a cold. The body was taking care of it. So it's just an example. There are many different ones that are observing and getting waves of that distress for whatever reason, internally driven or externally driven. Let me go to the we're going to grounding. All right, so all of these are going on. I talk a lot about sensations, and part of the reason why I did that is because for me, when I work with people, I find if we can manage the body, there's so much opportunity to manage what's going on in the mind. If you remember, I said that midbrain part of this, it can kind of trump anything. If it's big enough, it will move you into survival, and it will take over your skills and knowledge and values and beliefs and all the things. And so grounding through these experiences becomes extremely powerful because it's the way that we open back up the manageability of the midbrain and your outer brain. And let me take 2 seconds and talk about even just that concept. Remember, your midbrain is the survival mechanism that runs your body. So it tells your heart to breathe, tells your heart to beat, and tells you to breathe and when you need food and all of those things, plus it takes care of you, right? It's going to trigger the fight, flight, or freeze response. The outer part of your brain, if you take your hand and put it right here, you know, our prefrontal cortex, that's where our problem solver is. Like if you do a puzzle, that's where you're going to find that. It's going to be firing up in there. It's where our morals, values, and beliefs are stored as well. It's where our brakes are that stop us from action. Okay, it's a very important part, but these two parts have to talk to each other. And I look at it like a highway traveling between the two, and we need the information openly traveling between both parts. But you're not going to feel your midbrain in here. Most of us don't feel our midbrain in there. We feel everything going on there, what it's reading, what it's registering, what it's telling you need to do. It's all going to be down here through the body. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel the tension in your heart. You're going to feel the grip in your chest. You're going to feel your heart rate go up. You're going to feel your breath shallow. These are all sensations, and they are real. It's not like it's just perceived here. It's that it's triggering all the different hormones and chemical reactions in your body to take action. So you're going to feel all those sensations down here. So when we're grounding, what we want to do is we want to reverse that system, and we want to open the freeway back up out here so that we can get out here and begin to solve the problem, to manage the puzzle. Okay, so we've got this distress, we've got this trauma, we've got this event, our brain is trying to sort it out, it's trying to organize, it's trying to manage it. But if our freeway between what's going on with our body and what's our problems all out here is all jammed up with all that information and it's all trying to sort out, it's hard to solve the problem. We want to clear the freeway. Okay, I also use the analogy of a river. And some of you have heard my analogy of the river. Actually, it came from Cindy. I learned it from Cindy. There's, you know, we can look at like a river flowing through, and if you have all of these logs and sticks and things coming through the river, and your brain's trying to navigate, organize, and take care and keep those things flowing. But then we have these gigantic logs that come in and they mix with all the little, they can jam up, and we have a struggle solving it. It gets all jammed up and jumbled up. So we get confusion and frustration in our mind trying to manage all the information. So I like to use both analogies. Some people can do a river and some people can do cars. You can see a freeway totally in like traffic jam zone with everything coming on and on. Well, it works for you to see the river and observe your body and see it more flowing, is it moving? Then take that, whichever works. But either way, grounding gets the movement happening, gets the flow going again. Because what we're going to do is instead of letting that midbrain focus on whatever it's triggering, we're going to get it focus on something that's non-threatening. Step one, and I talk about this with everybody all the time, first thing I always go to is breath. Okay, our breath is our most powerful, fantastic tool. It's free, it's available at all times, is your breath. And so finding techniques that work for you in order to grab hold of your breath. I like counting. There's lots of different techniques for counting. There's something called box breathing, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. But what I like to teach the people that I work with actually is if we want to really lower the heart rate, I want a longer out breath. That long out breath helps lower the heart rate down. The heart rate helps relax the muscles. And so we want to find breathing. If I'm going to count, I'm going to do 4 counts in. If you can even get it, you might start with 1. If you're in distress, you might be lucky to get a 1. Count in. If you can do a short hold and then one long count out. And then do the hold and then you put your breath in, but you want to keep trying to stretch that out breath. Okay, we do this naturally. If you look around, we naturally do this. Human beings do it when they've been distressed and we come out of it, we'll sigh. Okay, that's this natural system is used to doing it, but we can do that on purpose. We can get a hold of our breath on purpose. So counting is one method. I encourage people, if you're in distress and you know, I would encourage like to be in a toolbox. What I mean by that is you might have it on quick play on your phone. That you find a song that you love to sing to, because if you're going to sing to something, you have to breathe right. Like it's just natural. So you find the song something you can hum to it. That hum is going to give you that nice long out breath, and same as you start managing that. Turn on something that's going to make you laugh. It's going to redirect your thoughts, redirect your focus. But that laughing or talking with somebody or joking with somebody, if you can also give you that long out breath. And I'm sure there's like a million other things out there. I'd love to have, you know, people can get on apps on their phone. There's lots of really great apps for breathing practices. There's lots of yoga practices for breathing. But again, these are things that as you learn to manage your breath there, to grab hold of your breath there, then you have that tool for any situation. And it is so powerful in opening up that channel. Again, you can get back to the problem solver part of your brain and sort out the reality of the situation that's in front of you, that you could reestablish safety, right? Because we're triggered, then we're moving up out of safety. So the next piece here is we want to orient to person, place, and time. Okay, and this can be very easy in the aspect that literally like right now, all of you are right here in the office, right? If you would take just a second and see what your feet feel like in your shoes. Take a moment and just notice, what does your feet feel like in your shoes right now? Notice what your toes feel like. Notice what your socks feel like on your feet. That is an example of grounding to person, place, or time. Okay, that you're here and you're in those shoes right now in this space. And we're not getting pulled to another place. Many different Examples of them is simple, like just looking around the room, look at a picture, begin to describe the picture. Okay, this picture over here has kind of a flag on it, and it has red in it, it has blue in it, it's got some words on it. That's going to orient my brain to here right now in this place. Okay, it can be that simple, and that gives that ability for your brain to move focus off of the thing that it's whatever was triggering it, that it was observing as danger, and it's coming here to the safe thing. Okay, it'll help bring your heart rate down, help you release into stress, so that you can think clearly again. Okay, I love stretch and movement. Get up, walk around. Movement is how our body processes things so much. Bilateral stimulation, we're going to let you talk about that later. But any type of movement gives your brain what it needs to start moving information. So any type of movement, but getting up and stretching, remember, so one of the symptoms is tension and tightness. So we open our body back up, even just bringing your shoulders back, bringing your head up, kind of stretching out or moving out. That is cueing. It's a direct communication. Just like breath is a direct communication to your body that says, I'm okay. I'm safe because I'm open. I can be open and vulnerable. I'm okay. And it'll gear your system back down. Okay. Mindfully drinking water is another quick, simple one. Okay. If you have water in here, I encourage you to try just taking a sip of it. But instead of just drinking the water, feel the water. Observe it. I notice I did water because some of us like stress eating. And we do that and watch for that, because this is the stage of process that we go through that I think a lot of people will be stress eating because their body's using that for comfort, as well as the process of eating is trying to get that system down as well. Okay, but in this, I teach water because water doesn't tend to lead to other shame cycles and other problems. So mindfully drinking water, take a real sip of the water, observe what is its temperature. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it hot? Is it, what does it feel like on your tongue? What does it feel like as it hits the back of your mouth? What does it feel like as it goes down your throat? Okay, and again, it gives you a very non-threatening stimulus to observe, and the body can gear down and says, okay, well, I can handle water. Water is something I can handle. Okay, and water in general for people is really powerful. I put on here as well, if you're really struggling to get your system to reset, and I'm laughing at myself just a little bit because I wanted to teach window tolerance before grounding techniques, and I went right over the top of it because then it would have made more sense. This part, we'll go over that here in a second, okay? But talking about like how your body's protecting itself and it gears up and you feel that rush in your body, that distress, that's been probably running for a while. Okay, some of you, it may still be running like in higher gear right now, and so you might still be in that heightened stress, and some of you might be in the waves. But either way, if you're struggling to get that to gear down, yoga is a powerful nervous system reset. Okay, and you can find lots of free videos online. You do it right in your home in the privacy, so you're not stressed about going out to a public place. But a public place is great too, if that's what's comfortable for you. But yoga is, it really works the nervous system and gives it like that nice reset where it can just kind of chill and relax for a moment. And that'll help you get grounded to the sensation of being more back to your normal or homeostasis, that peaceful place. And when you do that, that also will help you link to, oh, this is me again. This is me functioning, because we can become accustomed to that heightened state. We can start feeling like that's our normal, and this is what we're hoping to help you not do. Get back to that space where you can move back to your highest level of function. Okay, massage is another really powerful one. Okay, we have a lot of great massage therapists around here. And so if that is an option for you, if that's available for you to be able to do, I really encourage you, seek massage, seek safe touch massage, talk to them about why you're coming in, what's been going on with you, so they can be very aware that those are the systems they need to work. A really good intuitive massage therapist is going to be able to help you work that system into relaxation. This is not going to be just your normal everyday massage. There's specific things that they can do to really help bring your system down. The massage therapist that works for us, and I know we have a couple in town, does a massage style called craniosacral therapy that she utilizes particularly for stress. And we utilize that with mental health because it has a strong scientific evidence base of what it does for your system in order to release and relax all the way from your spine up all the way down. It's a traction massage. It's not like a deep tissue massage, it's traction. So they're literally kind of almost stretching out your spine to release and open up the nervous system and reset the nervous system. Okay, acupuncture also very powerful. I love acupuncture. Okay, and we've got a couple providers in town that do that. And I can tell you from my own experience, acupuncture has been so powerful for me. If I am stressed, I can go in and see the provider I go to, and I will be asleep on the table in minutes because she has just got something down. She does her thing, and it's so relaxing. And I walk out like a floppy noodle. And it just is so, whatever it does, I don't know. We'll learn from them. All I know is it works. So I encourage you to do that. Okay, I'm starting to think that I did not put the window tolerance slide on here because that's why it's like. Let's go to Cindy's VITAP website because it's on there. If that's okay. So apparently we not get that. I'll get the window tolerance one then load it on there for you. But if you go to Cindy, help me, it'll be faster. Is it going to? You have a window of tolerance handout in your uses. And then go to general use. And then scroll to the bottom. Seriously. Thinking about it. They just keep scrolling. While she's getting that put up, keep going. Window of tolerance. There's a handout. Yeah, keep going and there's a handout. It's the colored one. The red yellow. Yeah, there we go. There you go. Yeah, so this will be like reversing just for half a second here. Window of tolerance is if we go, I'm going to go back to the river analogy. If we're going through our day and all the information is coming at us throughout the day, and your brain and your body's having to navigate all the stuff that's coming at you. Okay, there's our logs and sticks and different things coming through the river that's flowing between this brain and your midbrain and your body, navigating all the information. Okay, and if that's flowing smooth, then we're in our window of tolerance. Okay, it can even flow quickly. You can even have a lot going through it. You can have a lot going on in your day, navigating a lot of different information and things. And you can still very much be in your window of tolerance as long as that's kind of flowing smoothly. Okay, but if things get jammed up, we get that log jam, it starts to back it up. It's either going to flood out all the sides, it's going to lock up and be dammed up. Okay, we all might have experienced moments where we've had feelings where we kind of jam up and you get that big build. Maybe we've been through a situation that you can't just let yourself feel. We think we got to kind of lock that up. And so then that's kind of damming it off and it's building up. But what happens when we dam something off and it kind of builds, right? When it finally breaks free, and then that makes us even more nervous, which will be back build even more, right? So it becomes a cycle. And so as we're going through these cycles, trying to navigate this, it moves us out of our window of tolerance. The energy feels more out of control. And if we move up into hyperarousal, so that's where our body observes a danger or distress, okay? And it's gearing itself up. So here's our river starting to flow faster. We've got more and big logs starting to come through because these are big things that your brain's trying to grab and navigate. And so that is, our body's having to respond to that. It's not moving, it's not flowing, it's not being able to problem solve it and sort it out as easy. So we're going to keep ramping the energy up. We keep going up, and so it can move us up into that hyperarousal. Okay, and that's where our body is. It's moving more into the survival mechanisms. Your survival mechanisms are taking control, and it's going to try to move you to safety as quick as you can. Okay, we don't react to this in this, right? Actually, we usually don't react when you're not in this part. Because it's just like I'm done, I need help, this has got to go. And so we usually have intense or big reactions here. Okay, this is where your sensations of overwhelm are going to hit you. This is where your heart's going to be beating. You get those waves of feeling panic or distress. You might have like intense emotions kind of all over the place where we kind of feel crazy and we're not quite sure what's going on. And in my house, this is where I'm kind of stomping around and I've identified all of the little things that I've done in my house and that I'm the only one that ever sees these things. That's what it looks like it's small for me. Like, my house, I'm in the right. And my family will know when I'm in the right brain and they go on. So it's a real thing. Having happened this week. At least 5 times, I don't know. Anyways. Okay, so the other stone, that when you scroll up so we can see that. Okay, so the way I look at this as well, like sometimes our body, like we have fight, flight, or we have freeze. Okay, and that's kind of like a checkout. So therapists will call it dissociation. Okay, or sometimes I call it like Facebook dissociation. Okay, or Netflix dissociation. Okay, like I just can't do it. I can't navigate it. I'm just gonna shut down. We're going to tuck in. We're just going to either distract. We withdraw. Okay, we want to isolate. Okay, I also look at this when I teach this, that what goes up must come down. Okay, so the body might just go down, but what I primarily see is that the body's trying to go up or does go up, and then it has to go into recovery in order to navigate that. And so that's where we come down and see the blue zone. We're so overstimulated. And for those of you that were, in the neighborhood even, there was a lot of stimulation. Is that fair to say? Lots of stimulation, lots of movement, lots of light, lots of things going on. There was a lot of stimulation. But then even the news and the story and the ideas, everything that's going on, there's a lot of stimulation. So our body wants to like, withdraw, tuck away, pull back in order to begin to navigate that, or it's too much to navigate, just kind of like, I gotta shut this off. This is too much. Okay, and then kind of shut it, and we kind of disappear from ourselves. Okay, so either in the red or the blue, we're coming out of who we are. We're disappearing from our functioning and from like ourselves. Okay, we can move into kind of like a robot state where you're just kind of going through the motions, not really connecting to the people that are around you. So this state can really damage relationships, and it removes that sensation of enjoying our life. So we want to watch for these things. Okay, so now let's come up to the green zone, that window of tolerance. Green zone meaning our brain is in functioning. We're in the go state. It's like when you're driving your car, right? Green light, you guys get to go. Traffic is flowing. Things are moving. In that state, we have that full capacity of that thinker part of our brain and the ability to sense and feel our body. They're both working. They're both navigating the information. Okay, that's what our window of tolerance is. And when we utilize grounding skills, that's why I want grounding skills after, but that's okay. Your grounding skills can actually then take the window of tolerance and open it wider. When we are in acute stress, that window of tolerance gets narrow. And those of you who have been experiencing that, is that fair to say? Did your window of tolerance get pretty narrow? Okay, that's why I was stomping around my house. Like suddenly I could pick out everything that I didn't like was. Okay, because my window of tolerance was low, and so I was agitated and irritated and easily tipping over into that window because it was so small. But self-care, grounding techniques, nutrition and health, exercise, all the different tools that we talk about, can take that window and open it back up. Okay? If you're experiencing that, these waves come, the wave comes and you might feel that your window, if your window is narrow, when the wave comes, you're more likely to move into hyper or hypoarousal. So self-care right now is very key. It's huge. So that as you are riding these waves, we can get those waves more in that window of tolerance so that you can recognize it. This is a wave. These are some things I can do through this wave. This is uncomfortable, but I'm going to be okay. Because that problem solver is going to be on. It'll be able to tell you, we're going to be okay, and we are okay. Okay, so we want to get that motion in that window of tolerance. Okay, I want to turn time over to Tina Warners to talk about kids, because that has been the other like huge question for everybody. How do we see this in kids? What do we do with kids? So, let's go.
do like the podium. Public speaking is not. I'm hoping that I can be seen and heard okay. You guys hear me okay? All right. I don't know, since Amy left, if she got the child stuff up on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna refer to a couple of things that I want you guys to have access to as well. Okay. First one is signs of trauma in children.
Yes, I gotta get back there.
That's okay.
I'm gonna block off the drop.
There we go, signs of trauma in children on the right.
I can't really read.
That's okay.
Sorry.
They are there.
I
Okay.
can't read this.
So maybe scroll down a little bit. Because it's going to give you like the download, but this is where you can access it. It's very brief. It just is like 2 pages talking about what to look for in kids. So first of all, just know grief is normal. And this is a process that most children who are connected with this in any way are going to go through. Parents and family members are going to go through this. And children will take their cue from the adults in their life. So if parents, grandparents, caregivers, anybody who's working with these kids, teachers, if they're taking good care of themselves, taking care of their trauma, taking care of their reactions, the children are going to do better. So I would say that's going to be your first look, is just know that if I'm taking good care of me, my kids are going to take that as the cue that things are okay and safe and that they can be okay and safe. And I would say that just keep in mind, we're talking about children, adolescents, teenagers is a very wide range from 0 to 18, tons of different developmental stages, abilities, capacities, and what is helpful for a 2-year-old is not necessarily what we're going to look at for a 15-year-old. So there's a wide range here, and parents, caregivers, grandparents, you are the experts in your children. You know your children's behaviors. You know what is normal and what feels off and different. And so what you're going to look for is this my normal child? Is this behaviors that we normally see? Or is this more? Is it getting worse? Am I seeing bigger, badder, stronger behaviors come up? Most children are going to communicate with their expressions and their behaviors rather than just come out and tell you what's going on with them. So as parents, we have to put on our little detective hat and we have to be able to kind of go, what's going on with my kid? So some things that you can look for, again, normal grief process. What we would look for is if behaviors are increasing and they're getting worse. And at the 3 to 6 month mark, they're sticking and they're staying worse and we're still struggling. Like Amy was saying, trauma doesn't always just show up like right here and right now. Sometimes it's a process and develops over time. And so we're going to see some of the bigger, badder stuff come later. So being watchful, of course. Some things that you can look for as far as symptoms, something that is going to be kind of a red flag would be increased thinking about death and safety. Am I safe? Are you going to die? Are other people going to die? Are they safe? Am I safe going to school? Am I safe at church? Just that increase in heightened awareness of what's safe and what isn't, and what can keep me safe and what can't. If it's just questions here and there, they're kind of checking it out and trying to figure it out. And then that kind of subsides, then they've worked that out. If it sticks and it becomes an obsession, or they have a hard time separating from you or separating from people that they trust and feel safe, then that's a bigger sign of something that has stuck. We're going to look for things, especially with children, problems with sleeping, problems with eating, problems with anger, problems with attention. So a lot of this might mimic what we would see as depression in children, or anxiety in children. But again, you're going to say, is this my normal child, or is this bigger, badder, stronger than what I've seen in the past? And then you're going to just see, is that something that kind of calms down, or does it just stay and we can't get it to calm down? You're going to want to get help at that point. Triggers, oftentimes there's immediate and intense triggers, going to school, going to church where you've seen people before, the kids have seen friends, and they react there. But triggers can be delayed as well. So it could be somebody's birthday that comes up in a few months. It could be a year anniversary of what happened. And so you're going to watch for those things too, because a trigger means that there's something stuck there that we need to help release. School refusal is a big sign that they're not doing okay. So avoiding school might be kind of normal. They don't want to go, they have to deal with some hard feelings. That can be pretty normal up front. But then if that progresses to, I won't go to school, you can't make me, big bad temper tantrums, big issues that come up, then that's a sign that anytime we have big school refusal, then we know that there's something big there that needs to be taken care of. Keep in mind that this can show up differently between boys and girls. That's not definitive. It doesn't mean that every boy and girl is going to act the same way. But more often we see increased behaviors and acting out in boys, and we see more internalizing in girls. And so just know, if you see bigger, badder behaviors, or if you see just like a dampening of the child where they aren't as fun or active or enjoyable as they used to be, they seem more so, and they have more like internal isolation happening, then that's another sign that we need to look and see what else is there. So just keep in mind, communicate with your kids, and we'll talk about like how to manage this, but it's okay to kind of wait and watch. It's okay. Like if we get kids help now, ideal, wonderful, but not all behaviors are going to show up right now. They may show up a couple months from now, a couple weeks from now. And so it's okay to watch and just see how your kids are doing. And then if things get much worse, then it's time to check and see what's there. So the next one that I've had Amy put on her site is helping children cope after a traumatic event. And so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's not huge, but just some helpful tips for children of any age. Biggest thing is safety. So again, children are going to look to you for their response. And if you are telling them, we're safe, you're safe, I can keep you safe, then they're going to take that as gospel truth, like that. That's my parent telling me I'm going to be okay. So anything that you can do to help a child feel safe, that may be as simple as just extra snuggles, extra cuddles, wrapped in blankets, whatever that looks like. Even for older kids, you may see your older child kind of leaning in a little bit more to you. They may need that extra attention. They may talk a bit more. So anything that you can do to just reassure most times, you're safe, I'm here, I see you. So 3 things that kids need: to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. So I see you, I hear you, I understand this is really hard, but you're safe and I'm taking care of you. Being calm, again, this is where you're taking care of yourself first. You as adults, we have more skills, we have more ability, we have more cognition. Children, in essence, are kind of helpless at times. And so a big event like this, adults can organize, they can take care of things, they can manage, they can work on their feelings, they can go to therapy. Children can't unless they have their adult to help them. So they're helpless in these situations, and we want them to know that we're here to help. And that's, we're good, we can help you, right? As long as the adult's okay, the kid can manage and get there. Maintain your routines. So make sure that you're just going day-to-day life, making sure that everything stays as calm and neutral as possible, that the whole world doesn't blow up for the child, that they can have the normal stuff in life. Sharing about what happened, and I would caveat this with too many details, no. Because like what Amy was saying, when we hear about an event, we automatically create an image in our minds. And we can't control what image your child is getting in their mind. They're going to connect it with whatever they already know. And so if we give them too many details, they could create a pretty horrific image in their mind that may not be accurate at all. It may be much bigger than what the event was. And so we need to be able to just give them the minimum. For little kids, you know, they can see mom and dad are upset. Mom and dad can say something bad happened and we're pretty sad. And we're taking care of them. You're very safe. For older kids that are hearing all kinds of stuff right now, adults are hearing all kinds of stuff right now, teenagers hearing so many details that they don't need to know. They've got to process that somehow. And they're creating that image. They're actually traumatizing themselves, creating an image, creating the feeling that goes with it. And they'll need help with that at some point because it may not be accurate and it may not be safe for them to hold that image. So just making sure that if you talk about it, you're keeping the details just as minimal as possible. If they come to you with details that they've heard, it's okay to say, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know all the details. And maybe, you know, that you hear might not be accurate or true. And maybe we can get you help with whatever images you created in your mind from that. And I know Cindy's going to talk about some like body movement that you can do to kind of help with that stress that comes up when you hear horrible things when you create those images. But just simple routines like relaxing in the moment that you're talking about these things can help children, their body just kind of disconnect from that intensity of the emotion and the images. And so a simple breath, which we keep going back to breath because it regulates our system, but this simple, like, I want everybody to try that for just a second. We're going to mimic a sigh, just that. Notice what happens in your body. And you can do that with your child. You can do that with little ones. You can do that with teenagers. You can just say, let's take a breath. And allow them to just kind of relax. If kids are okay with touch, and that depends on what kind of touch and how okay they are with it, like tracing their palms while you talk, rubbing their hands while you talk, rubbing their back. Children regulate better in connection with an adult than they do on their own. As adults, we can try all the techniques, we can try to feel better. But sometimes, and those of you who have a partner or somebody that you're super close with, sometimes when you just hug someone and you notice your body go into them, that's what the children need. They need to be able to just go into you. And so if they'll allow that, if they'll allow hugs and closeness, sometimes we have to be a little silly about it. We have to go, oh, come on, give me a hug, right? You know, and just kind of tease them into it. As long as they're allowing you to just hold them for a second, you'll feel them just go into you. And so any way you can get that co-regulation happening where touch, connection, soft talk, breathing, all of those things, they're with you, they'll be better. And as you're talking about things, a relaxed body doesn't get traumatized. And so a relaxed child who's dealing with these issues is more likely to be able to disconnect from whatever it is that they've brought up in their system or that's been given to them that we didn't necessarily want them to have. So one thing I would look at, especially with older kids and social media right now, is disconnecting from that, disconnecting from the news, disconnecting from all of the information, giving them a break from all of that. And watch your children that have a tendency to go towards video games or screen time. They might be avoiding, they might be trying to get themselves to feel better because they're not okay. So watch for increases in that as well. Just if it feels like they are drawn to it and they're spending way too much time there, we want to kind of check in and see what's going on. And one thing that it's not on this list, but I teach it to all the parents that I work with, is talk time, connection time. And the best time to do that is when your child, grandchild, relative, whoever it is just in a calmer state right before bedtime. Once they've got their jammies on, they'll have their snack, they're getting ready for bed, they're getting settled. You can just sit there and say, what do you want me to know? It's not problem solving time. It's just tell me about it. And listen, reflect back to them. Oh, it sounds like you had a really hard time today. When you had some big feelings. Just reflecting back to them, allowing them that open space to be able to tell you anything that's coming up. You're more likely to hear the struggles and more likely to hear the red flags and be able to say, I think that there's something that we need help with because my child is holding some big stuff. So that connection, again, we're regulating with the child, just connecting with them. Let's say, just know that kids all do this differently. There's going to be different stages and phases that they will go through. And if you are there for them and with them in it, you're going to hear the things that you need to know to say, I think my kid needs some help with this. And Amy talked about the window of tolerance. When we have kids that are in stress and struggling, they're up here, it's very easy for a child to go because they're already up here. They can't handle much more. If you're seeing lots of tantrums, lots of struggles at home, then just know they've probably been functioning up here and this is just the end result. And so we need to work on ways to bring them down. And if you don't feel like you've got those skills, there's so much online information. We can put a bunch of resources on the website for Amy's business. But if we can just find ways to connect with these kids and help them calm and be okay, much less likely to get to that PTSD point. This is the adjustment phase that they're going through. And if we can regulate them in the adjustment phase, they're much less likely to get to that intense trauma phase. So just know the resources that are out there. Amy's website is going to have some great information. You're welcome to contact me. Amy's secretary has my contact information, and I'm happy to help. I'm happy to walk parents through whatever it is you need to do, be able to do at home to help your kids as best as possible. Thank you for your time. I'll be around afterwards if anybody has any questions.
I'm just gonna take like 5 or 10 minutes, but you guys have been sitting for a bit. I just want to stand up and just stretch. You can, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but I would. It's kind of hard to sit. I would just stretch for a second. And while you do that, I'm just gonna talk. So let me get teary. So I'm a trauma therapist of 26 years, and I will tell you, this is the worst thing I have ever heard. And I have heard as much as you can imagine. And I just want to tell all of you that I'm just so sad that our community is having to deal with this and go through this. And so as therapists, what's really nice about being in a smaller community is that we can actually all come together as therapists. And so that's why we keep referencing Amy, because her business is going to be the site of contact. Because what we don't want is you having to call 20 different therapists trying to find help. We don't want you to go through that extra step. And so that's why we're streamlining it. And so if we find out that, gosh, we need to have some parent groups. I know that Tina and Diane will set that up. If we find that we need whatever you need, we're gonna do. And I want you to know that. We have had several calls. I have had several calls from therapists up north, and I now live in St. George, and there's several trained therapists there. And I just want you to know that if there's like 100 people in high stress right now, then we're going to get the therapist to come down and help us. So you will not go without services. And so I know we're in like rural Utah, but we will bring the services to you. And the therapists have already, we've all given time and will continue to give time. Like, you guys are our top priority, and please know that. And so just really quick on the window of tolerance, I did bring some handouts so you guys can have them. I just want to make it just a quick example of a working example. So when your nervous system is calm, which none of ours are, mine is not either, so please know that. It just means that your brain's like that. It's just calm and regulated. But because this is so stressful, that middle part, like Amy and Tina talked about, it's in the driver's seat. That's why you guys are so tired. That's why I'm so tired, because we're heightened, and then we're dropping because it's exhausting. So we're trying to help things regulate and get back to where you feel like this. So slowly your window will get back to what it was, but that doesn't mean that your like grief and trauma are different. So please know that we understand personally and professionally that all of us are grieving. Absolutely, and that takes time. What we're worried about is the trauma responses, and we want to help your nervous system settle down. And that's why we're going over this. So I asked, so on the back of this, so all the grounding techniques you've heard are right. But when you're triggered, okay, and you don't know when that's going to be, on the back of this, there's some things you can do quickly to calm down. Okay, and so the first one I want you to know is called bilateral movement. So your kids have probably at school, I want you to know Enoch's getting several sets because Enoch needs several sets right now. All it is just your kids have probably talked about them or have them at their school. That just taps back and forth. Okay, mine are on because I need them on right now. So, but you can wear them as much as you need to. So all it means is when you're distressed, your brain starts noticing the tapping and it can't help but follow it. And then it settles the middle part down and then you're like this. Okay, that's good. If you don't have tappers and you're like, just start moving your feet back and forth. It will help. Okay, if you don't want to do that, cross your arm. I mean, no one's going to do this in public probably, right? But you could, but you can just cross your arms and just start tapping. You can do this, or you can walk. Walking is bilateral movement. So that's a very big thing. That's the first thing we teach everybody when it's like that. The next thing is movement. So if you have a burst of stress, start tapping. Okay, that actually is going to calm you down as quick as anything. Then move. If you got a big burst of stress, if we were all birds, we'd be flying, right? If we were rabbits, we'd freeze, but then we'd hop. But we're sitting in our stress, and you guys, because we're in red and blue, we're exhausted. You don't want to move. I'm begging you to move a little bit. So even with your children, you can say, come on, let's just do this. You can jump up and down and it makes a difference. The other thing Amy talked about is take a drink. We just say water again, because you can drink pop or anything, but just water is healthy. It actually calms your nervous system down. So where I live in St. George, there's a dog that's not a very nice dog that lives up the street. When it came after me, it's like, see, and if you told me to swallow, I couldn't swallow. And I bet all of you were dehydrated the first week. It just, because you don't like eating and you're in shock. So I'm just encouraging you, drink water. If you don't have water and you can tell you're in red, swallow. Just make yourself swallow. If you ask me to swallow when that dog's right there, I see everything shutting down. You can't swallow. So right now we're out of stress, even though we're stressed. So chew gum, do something to activate the relaxation response. It actually helps. If you'll do those three things, you will then be able to take a deeper breath. If you guys were in high anxiety right now and I said, Cindy, maybe I shouldn't say your name, sorry, but if I said, take a deep breath, you actually can't. But if I was with you and you were going into panic and I started just tapping and then you started to calm down, I said, let's just shake it off. And let's take a drink of water together. Let's actually go walk to the drinking fountain, come back. She could then take a deep breath. So just know these are on, this is all on the website for Amy, and you here can have them. The last one's connection, because we do better when we're connected. It's just true. I want you to, I'm going to give you two quick examples. A lady, I talked to these people, they know I'm going to say this. A lady whose family went through a horrible situation. She had done great work. Her PTSD levels went down. I worked with some of her teenage kids because of what had happened. They went on a vacation. She was not expecting to get triggered. It came out of the blue. And this is what her teenage daughter did. Mom, look at me. They started tapping and the daughter's like, get me some water, someone. And then as she started to calm down, then they said, let's go for a walk. So you're not having your kids do therapy. It's not like that. It's just these three things help you calm down quickly. You guys unfortunately went through the flooding last year. So I've worked with people from that trauma too, and some of the kids who were in pretty difficult situations get scared still. So they're doing the therapy. I'm going to spend just a couple minutes talking about, but at home or at school, when it rains hard and the metal roof, does that make sense? That's then going to trigger them. So then we work with the school, we work with the teachers and the school counselors, we work with the families, and we just say, when you're in school and you get scared, you actually can start tapping. They can tap in their shoes, they can tap on their thighs, they can walk up to the teacher and say, I need to go get a drink. The teacher already knows what that means. And they can walk and get a drink. They can do this. And at that point, they either can go back into class or they can go call their mom or dad or whoever they're calling. So that's what that looks like in action. And you just teach your kids that. If they know those first three things, it actually calms them down. It calms you down too. The last thing I just want to talk about is I would spend time looking at those assessments that's on the website. So for adults, we're not going to go over it because of time, but it's just the impact of event scale. You want to look at it. The highest score you could get would be an 88. I promise you a week ago, all of you would have scored probably in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That's just acute stress. If those numbers stay high, everybody, get help. Okay, so was he loading it? When you look at the score sheet, it's going to say 33 and above could be PTSD. Don't worry, that's talking about a month. Okay, so right now we know those scores are still high, but even today, you guys, if they're in the 50s, I want you to just consider the two treatment options I'm going to tell you about. Why? Because grief and trauma, again, are different, and you don't want to keep that trauma heightened. It's exhausting, as you know. So it's going to ask you questions that you wouldn't even know to report. It's good. And there's one, oh, it's right there. And then there's one also for the children. Let's say that you take these and you're like, okay, I know I need treatment. There's three treatment options. One we're doing right now, and that's why it's being recorded so people can watch it. You can get community support and you can learn some basic stuff. Okay, that might be enough for a large number of people, but there is a group of you that is going to need more, and we expect that and we understand that and we accept it. Then there's two options. One, it's a group protocol. That does not, please don't be afraid of that. That does not mean we're going to sit in a circle and talk. Why? You can do that with your friends, and that's important. We are trying to help you reprocess trauma. So if we were doing that today and I was taking the lead, I could actually take the lead with all of you. I have a few helpers, and it would be classroom style. And there's a protocol that we do that you would do it twice in one day. So you will be very tired at the end of that day. If we lived in another country where there is not mental health services, that's why this protocol was developed. They would say, we're going to come in for 3 days. We're going to do 6 sessions. You're going to do 2 a day, and you are exhausted, but they're leaving. So they don't have a choice but to be really intensive in the treatment. We don't have to do it that way. And how do I know? Because, it's what I do for a living. And so sometimes you do community trauma. So I want you to know that we would probably do that like on a Saturday or even a Sunday, and just have just a small group. And I want to just start with adults, and we're going to figure that out Saturday, because I don't want to tell you it's good. I want some of you to experience it, so then you'll know for yourself, yep, that's a good thing. That's better than professionals telling you it's good. It's better if someone says, yeah, I did that and it was helpful. We want to make sure it's helpful, but I can tell you I've done that with families and agencies and in community trauma settings, and it's very, very good. And so that is one option, and we will figure out through Amy's company how to organize those so that you're with people you feel safe with. The other one is if you guys take this, I'm begging you. The reason I'm begging you, and I'll probably get teary again, because I go to PTSD clients all the time. And when they come in and they have waited a year, they've had a really hard year. When they wait 5 years, whoa, when they wait 10 years to come in, oh, we can still help them. I'm just saying that's a long time to be bouncing from red to blue. You're exhausted. And that's why we want to do early intervention, so you don't have to sit in this level of stress. Grief will still be intense at times. I know that from life. I'm 54. Life is hard, and I understand we will grieve, but it's the trauma over and over I'm worried about. I promise you and beg you to get help. So if you take that assessment and right now you guys are scoring in the 50s, please consider doing the recent traumatic event protocol. It's a specific protocol that just pretend I'm your therapist and I'm fine to come up and help. If you had 3 sessions of that, it would be better than 12 sessions of talk therapy. And I can promise you that because I've just done this and I can see the difference. So just trust us, at least a couple trust us, so that you can tell your friends that, yep, it's intense, but yeah, the numbers come down. In terms of those numbers will come down. At the end of the day, where we want this, not today, but in like a couple months, we want the average, there's some subgroups, I won't get into it right now, but we want the average, like I would love for you to score a 22. If you score a 22, then I know in these different groups, your score is a 1. A 1 means a little bit. That means yes, once in a while, yes. Then that's called considered normal for what this has been. It's ecologically sound. So just look at the website, look at the scales. You can go home with these, we can print these, but just consider getting the help you need. We will gather the clinicians and we will surround you because I know it's what we need to do. So I'll just end with that. And then I guess they just need your contact information.
Right, I'll wrap this up really quick. Again, like we have been here for a minute. So one thing that Cindy talked about some options with the groups and things. We do know that some may need individual counseling, and we know that in our area already for some time, there are not enough counselors for the amount of individual therapy that is needed. And so I really encourage you to take the surveys and consider giving this group protocol a chance, because it is good. And I have seen it. I was able to facilitate or aid in some facilitating when Cindy did this after the Vegas shootings. And I watched people shift in that setting, and it is powerful. So I encourage you to look at that. But in regards to individual counseling, we are on our website, there is a form that you can fill out. There is no way for my business to take on everyone by any means. We were full before this happened. And so I've been reaching out to community providers in Cedar. I've broadened that out to St. George, looking for as many people that can either create space or have immediate openings. And so, but like she said, it's not going to make sense to have you calling all over the place. And so if it's something that is helpful for you, you're more than welcome to call. So if you go to my website, the contact information is on there, or you can fill out the form and that will come into my secretaries, and then they will start letting you know what we are aware of at the time of resources. We're starting a grief group that we're going to run for free, and we'll probably run that a few times, but I've also reached out, and there's some other providers that are looking at starting some other programs and things. And so as different community providers are organizing things, we'll keep posting things up on the website, and we'll keep doing everything we can to keep making you aware of the opportunities that are out there that you can tap into, because we just know that individual is going to be a challenge to get into, but not impossible. So please reach out, and we're all trying to do what we can to resource you as quick as we possibly can. Totally just blanking out. Where was I headed after that? So it's kind of simple. Go to our website. The phone number is on there. The website's peacebalanceandjoy.com. Maddie's sitting right in here in this room. You can raise your hand, let everybody see you. Like, she is going to be my hub for this, and filled a lot of that, and she's prepped so that she's ready to give you some guidance. She also can help you understand the scales. So we had the one for the adults, we have one for children. If you're looking at that and you're like, am I doing this right? Or what does this mean? Or I don't know how to score it and things like that. She's made sure she's educated herself well on that, so she can fill some questions for you on that as well. I'm just turning the time back to Robin, he can close this. I hope this was helpful. Please don't sit in this. We are here to help.
Thank you. I don't know what else to say. What do you say to that, right? Not very many people in this room are there. Considering the impact that this has had on our community and others. So it's up to us, I think, not to put pressure on anybody, but it's up to us to be friendly and kind and to remember the resources are available and to reach out to help others know where those resources are. And when we do set up some community or some small group events, be in touch, okay? Those are in this room, be in touch so that that information can get out quickly, okay? Thank you for coming. Stick around and drink some water. And I figured out my dad was helping me. He was doing this. That's good. He's tapping me. So thank you so much. Okay.